Listening to problem solving. You will hear a conversation in 3 sections. You will hear each section only once. After each section, you will hear 2 or 3 questions. You will hear the questions only once. Choose the best answer to each question.
Good afternoon, Northline Internet. This is Karen speaking. How may I assist you today?
Hi, Karen. My name is Victor Lopez. I'm calling because there seems to be a problem with my latest bill. It's much higher than what I normally pay.
I can take a look at your account. Could you please confirm your customer number?
4827935.
I can see your account. You're currently on the Essential Plus package, and your regular monthly charge is $68 before tax. This month, however, the total is showing $104.
I usually pay around $70 with tax, so when I saw $104 come out of my account, I knew something was off.
I understand. Have you made any recent changes, such as traveling outside the country or adding another service?
No, nothing like that.
All right. Let me review the usage breakdown and see what caused the difference.
Question 1. Why is Victor calling Northline Internet? Question 2. What does Victor say about the amount taken from his account? Question 3. What is Victor's regular monthly charge before tax?
All right, Mr. Lopez. I've compared this bill with the previous ones, and I can see the main difference. There's a section here called Extra Data Charges. It shows you went over your 10 gigabyte limit and used an additional 5 gigabytes of data.
I usually turn off data when I'm not using it, and I'm almost always connected to Wi-Fi at home.
The system shows that most of the extra usage happened in the evenings over the last 2 weeks, usually between 7 and 11 p.m.
That's when I'm usually at home watching shows. I thought all of that was going through my home Wi-Fi.
But if your Wi-Fi signal becomes weak or disconnects, your phone can switch back to mobile data without you noticing, especially while streaming video.
So you're saying my phone may have switched to mobile data while I was watching shows?
Yes, that is very possible. I can see several large data sessions that match that time period.
Question 4. What does Karen say is the main difference on Victor's latest bill? Question 5. When did most of the extra data use occur? Question 6. What likely caused the extra data usage?
Given what you've told me, Mr. Lopez, I can offer a one-time adjustment. Since this is your first extra data charge in the last 12 months, I can remove half of the additional amount.
How much would that be?
The extra data charges are $45 before tax. I can credit $22.50 to your account. That credit would appear on your next bill.
So I still have to pay more than usual this month?
Yes, but your next bill would be lower by the amount of the credit. If you prefer, I can also move you to a 20 gigabyte package starting next month. It costs $10 more per month, but it gives you more room before extra charges begin.
I don't really want a higher monthly bill. I'll accept the one-time credit and just make sure my Wi-Fi stays connected at home.
I've submitted the credit request, and the adjustment should appear on your next statement.
Question 7. What does the company offer as a solution? Question 8. What does Victor decide to do?
Listening to a daily life conversation. You will hear a conversation followed by 5 questions. Listen to each question. You will hear the question only once. Choose the best answer to each question.
Hey, Sophia. I haven't seen you at the gym lately. Did you cancel your membership or something?
Not exactly. I put it on hold for a couple of months. I've been taking this evening course, and honestly, by the time I get home from class, I'm completely exhausted.
Oh, right. You mentioned something about a course a few weeks ago. How's it going so far? Is it interesting at least?
It's challenging, but actually pretty good. It's a project management certificate program. The instructors are really experienced. But the problem is that the classes run from 6 to 9 on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so my usual after-work workout time just completely disappeared.
That totally explains it. I tried to study at night once when I was in school, and I ended up falling asleep on my notes with highlighters still in my hand.
Huh, same here. On the days I don't have class, I just try to catch up on everything else that's been piling up. Laundry, groceries, cleaning the apartment, you name it. By Friday, I'm just ready to collapse.
When does this course actually finish? Do you have an end date?
It wraps up in mid-July. I'm definitely thinking of restarting my gym membership after that. Maybe just start with Saturday mornings to ease back into it.
That sounds like a reasonable plan. At least you're still walking to work every day, right? That's gotta count for something.
Yes, I do that every single day, rain or shine. It's not exactly the same as a full gym workout with weights and cardio, but at least it's better than sitting in traffic for a full hour every morning.
True enough. When you're finally done with that course, definitely let me know.
We could go to that spin class together and pretend we're still as energetic as we were back in January.
Deal. I'll definitely need someone to drag me back onto the treadmill and make sure I don't quit again after one session.
Question 1. Why did Sophia put her gym membership on hold? Question 2. When are Sophia's classes? Question 3. What does Sophia say she does on days without class? Question 4. When is Sophia planning to restart her gym membership? Question 5. What daily habit does Sophia mention that still gives her some exercise?
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for coming to today's information session. My name is David Okafor, and I'm the Community Outreach Coordinator for the Greenfield Transit Authority. I'm here this afternoon to explain our new City Transit Card program, which will be replacing paper tickets and cash payments on all city buses and light rail lines starting on the 1st of next month. Let me start with the basics. The City Transit Card is a reloadable card that you tap on a reader when you board any bus or train in the Greenfield Transit network. You no longer need to carry exact change or purchase individual tickets. Once you have a card, you simply load money onto it and use it every time you travel. The card keeps track of your balance automatically, and you can check it at any time using our website, our mobile app, or the machines at any major transit station. Now, I want to explain how to get your card. Starting this Saturday, cards will be available at 3 locations: the main transit terminal on King Street, the customer service center on Westfield Avenue, and all participating grocery stores in the city. The card itself has a one-time cost of $6. That amount is not a deposit. It is a non-refundable fee that covers the cost of the card. Once you have your card, you can load a minimum of $10 and a maximum of $100 at any one time. Loading can be done at ticket machines in any transit station, at the customer service centers, or online through the Transit Authority's website. If you register your card online, there is an added benefit. If your card is ever lost or stolen, your remaining balance can be transferred to a new card. Unregistered cards cannot be recovered, so we strongly encourage everyone to register.
Now, I also want to mention the fare structure, because this is something many residents have been asking about. Under the new system, a single adult fare will be $2.75 per trip. Seniors age 65 and over and students with a valid school ID will pay a discounted fare of $1.50. Children under the age of 6 travel free of charge. Monthly passes will also be available for frequent riders. An adult monthly pass will be $85, which works out to a significant saving compared to paying per trip. One more thing I'd like to address is the transition period. For the first 30 days after the new system launches, transit staff will still accept cash on buses, although you will not receive change. After that 30-day period, cash will no longer be accepted on any route. Paper tickets purchased before the launch date can be exchanged for credit on your transit card at any customer service center until the end of the year.
Question 1. What is the main purpose of the new City Transit Card program? Question 2. Where can residents pick up a City Transit card starting this Saturday? Question 3. What happens if a registered card is lost or stolen? Question 4. How much is the discounted fare for seniors and students? Question 5. What will happen after the first 30 days of the new system? Question 6. What can riders do with paper tickets purchased before the launch date?
Listening to a news item. You will hear a news item once. It is about 1.5 minutes long. Then 5 questions will appear. Choose the best way to complete each statement from the drop-down menu.
This is the 6 o'clock update from CityLine News. I'm Maria Chen. The city of Greenfield is launching a new pilot project this fall to test car-free Sundays in the downtown core. Beginning on September 1st, several central streets will be closed to regular vehicle traffic every Sunday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. City officials say the goal is to create a more pedestrian-friendly environment, reduce noise, and give local businesses a chance to host outdoor events. Public buses and emergency vehicles will still be allowed to pass through, but private cars will need to use surrounding routes. Some business owners support the idea, saying that street festivals and outdoor seating could attract more visitors. Others are worried about customers who usually drive, especially older residents who may find it difficult to walk longer distances from parking areas. The city will collect feedback from residents and shop owners throughout the 3-month trial. At the end of November, Council will decide whether to continue, expand, or cancel the program.
Listening to a discussion. You will watch a 2-minute video, then 8 questions will appear. Choose the best way to answer each question.
Okay, thanks for making time today. We need to put together our department's recommendation on the proposed curbside composting program before the council meeting on Thursday. From what I've read in the summary, the goal is to reduce organic waste going to the landfill by at least 40% over the next 3 years.
I've looked at how similar programs worked in other cities, and the results have actually been quite strong. In Maplewood, they rolled it out 2 years ago and hit a 35% reduction in organic landfill waste within 18 months. The key was that they made participation mandatory for residential properties.
I support the environmental side of it completely, but I want to flag the cost. The initial budget estimate I saw was around $4 million for the first year alone, and that includes the bins, the collection vehicles, and the processing facility upgrades. That's not a small number given where the city's budget is right now.
That's a fair concern. But if we look at it over 5 years, the projected savings from reduced landfill fees and tipping costs actually offset a large part of that initial investment. The report suggests a net saving of about $1.2 million by year 5.
And there's the community engagement side too. We've had 3 public consultations, and the feedback was generally positive. Most residents said they were willing to participate if the bins were provided free of charge and pickup schedules were clear.
That's encouraging, but I'd want to know more about enforcement. If participation is mandatory, but there's no real consequence for not sorting correctly, the data from Maplewood also showed that contamination rates were quite high in the first year. That reduces the value of the compost and adds processing costs.
So maybe our recommendation should be to support the program in principle, but ask council to phase it in gradually, starting with a voluntary pilot in 2 or 3 neighborhoods before making it citywide.
That's a reasonable middle ground. It gives us real data from our own community rather than just relying on what worked elsewhere.
Agreed. And it gives the city time to develop a proper public education campaign, which I think is just as important as the bins and trucks.
All right, let's draft the recommendation along those lines. Phased rollout, voluntary pilot first, with a review after 12 months before expanding.
Listening for Viewpoints. You will hear a report once. It is about 3 minutes long. Then 6 questions will appear. Choose the best way to answer each question from the drop-down menu.
Welcome back to Policy Forum on 91.5 FM. I'm James Whitfield. Today we are examining whether municipalities should introduce a mandatory minimum wage increase. Joining me today are two guests, Dr. Anita Sharma and Robert Callahan. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Happy to be here.
Dr. Sharma, what is the case for a higher municipal minimum wage?
The argument is fairly straightforward when you look at the data. In cities like Greenfield, the cost of living has risen substantially over the last decade, housing in particular, but the provincial minimum wage has not kept pace with that increase. As a result, a growing number of full-time workers are unable to meet basic living expenses, which forces many of them to work multiple jobs or rely on social assistance programs that are ultimately funded by taxpayers. A higher municipal minimum wage would allow low-income workers to meet their costs, reduce reliance on those programs, and inject more money into the local economy through increased consumer spending.
Robert, what is your response?
I don't dispute that many workers are struggling, and I think that's a genuine problem that deserves a serious solution. But I'd push back on the idea that a mandatory wage increase is the right tool, particularly at the municipal level. The businesses most affected by this kind of policy are not large corporations that can absorb the cost. They are small and medium-sized businesses, restaurants, retail shops, local service providers. Many of them are already operating on very thin margins, and a sudden increase in their largest operating cost, which is labor, could force them to reduce hours, cut positions, or in some cases close entirely. The very workers the policy is designed to help could end up worse off if their jobs disappear.
Dr. Sharma, how do you respond to the concern about job losses?
It's a concern that comes up every time a wage increase is proposed, and I understand why. But the economic evidence from cities that have already implemented higher minimum wages is actually more nuanced than that argument suggests. In Seattle and San Francisco, for example, significant wage increases did not produce the large-scale job losses that critics predicted. What they did produce was higher worker retention, lower turnover costs for businesses, and measurable improvements in household financial stability. That said, I agree that the pace and size of any increase matters enormously. A gradual phased increase tied to an affordability index is very different from a sudden large jump, and the policy design needs to reflect that.
I'd accept a phased approach as much more manageable than an immediate jump. My concern is more about the principle of municipalities acting unilaterally, when labor policy has traditionally been a provincial responsibility. It creates inconsistency. A business with locations in 2 different cities ends up navigating 2 different wage floors, and that administrative complexity has a real cost. Yes, I'd say that captures it.
To summarize the conversation, Dr. Sharma argues that a higher municipal minimum wage is necessary to address a widening gap between living costs and earnings. Evidence from other cities suggests the job loss fears may be overstated when the increase is implemented carefully. Robert Callahan acknowledges the hardship many workers face but argues that the burden falls unevenly on small businesses and that unilateral municipal action creates administrative and policy complications.